Mayor Tory, question?
Yes, Madam Speaker, through you to Councillor Matlow. Just on this business of the gap that I think we all acknowledge that exists in terms of the cost of the LRT today versus what's in the master agreement. Have you had any conversations on the difference? And let's just accept for a moment the numbers that are put forward by Mr. Byford at close to $3 billion. Have you had any conversations with, I'll start with the CEO of Metrolinx, as to whether they have plans to make up the difference between the two?
Absolutely not. Have you?
Actually, yes, I have.
And what have they said?
Well, I'm asking the questions here.
I was actually sincerely curious. Because
have you had any conversations with the Minister of Transportation with respect to whether they have plans to write a check to make up the difference to fund your plan?
If we believe that the Minister of Transportation will honour the agreement, honour the contract that has been signed, if we believe that the CEO of Metrolinx will honour the master agreement that they signed, then they would be responsible for fulfilling the terms of that agreement. I have no reason to believe otherwise. Of course, I've heard the political rhetoric. I've heard the over your dead body comments. I've heard that. But I believe a contract is a contract, and somebody needs to prove to us that they seek to renege on that or be dishonorable or something before I'm going to assume that they're going to be.
Have you ever checked on their interpretation? Because a contract involves two parties, and you seem crystal clear and absolutely, firm in the conviction that this agreement covers any cost at all, I guess, theoretically. Have you actually ever checked on their interpretation of the agreement or sought even advice from our own solicitors with respect to whether the agreement, as it's presently worded, would cover the inflation in the cost that seems to be generally agreed upon, that goes, say, between the $1.4 billion or 1.8, depending on what you count, and the $3 billion estimate? Have you checked with anybody?
With all due respect, they were nominal dollars. Why would you? Have you seen anything in writing that has come from Metrolinx or come from the province that has suggested that they're going to be reneging on that agreement?
Councillor Matlow, you don't ask the questions. The mayor asks you questions.
So you haven't checked.
Let
me just finish the series of questions by asking if you've had any conversations with the Premier about whether her government has any intention of writing a check to accommodate for or account for the increase in cost between 1.4 and say $3 billion.
I have not asked the Premier or Metrolinx to answer a negative. In other words, we have the contract we have the master agreement we have. I'm not going to them and saying, are you going to renege on that? Is your interpretation different than what the facts are in ink on paper?
Well, final question, Madam Speaker. Mr. Matlow, Councillor Matlow, in the motion said that we can, and in his preamble said we can build 24 LRT stops for next to nothing in terms of any additional money.
I did not say that.
And let me just go through this and ask you the question. The LRT, the original, the old LRT, as I cost it, would cost between $2.7 and $3 billion, according to the TTC. And the estimated cost of the Crosstown East is between $1.6 and $1.8 billion. So if you add those two up, you have a cost of between $4.3 and $4.8 billion. Could you help us with where you're going to get the money? Let's pick the lower of those two numbers. Where are you going to get $4.3 billion to pay for your 24-stop plan?
Thank you. That was your last question.
Because unlike what you and some others have suggested, the provincial money and the federal money, aside from the ribbon cuttings, have actually, in real terms, have not been earmarked for the subway proposal. We can use those funds on top of the city contribution to contribute to the LRT plan. If we choose to, and actually the federal government has made it very clear, as you know, that it'll actually be up to council to decide how we want to use those funds. Now, you're probably going to get your way today, and you're going to be able to use those funds on that. But it is a fact that if we as a council chose to set the LRT plan as our priority, that the government has said that that would be where they would allocate those funds.
Thank you. Councillor Karygiannis.